Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the question that a lot of people get when they first embrace Islam. What's your Muslim name, bro? Have you got a Muslim name? The idea of having a Muslim name. Usually when people embrace Islam, people come from like a white English culture and they embrace Islam. Usually people do take a Muslim name. But when I embraced Islam in the mosque that I became a Muslim, I was actually encouraged not to. I was actually encouraged not to take a Muslim name. Because, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people embraced Islam, obviously in his environment, if people had a name that was sort of contrary to Islam, like it was like Abdullat or Abdul Izzah or something, like it was a name that's actually haram to have, like the worshipper of Izzah, one of the pagan gods that they had at the time, something like that, then you would change the name. But like names that aren't contrary to Islam, like the name of Umar, like when Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu an embraced Islam, he was never encouraged to change his name. Like, there hasn't been an Umar in Islam before, so you change your name. That was never the case. So, obviously my name's Sam, and the community around me never encouraged me to take a Muslim name. That was never even brought up. Although I did kind of want one. I did kind of want a Muslim name. And when I went to university, I met a guy called Yasin. And Yasin had been one of the first surahs of the Quran that I'd started listening to. I think I found a YouTube channel, a YouTube video of it, and I just thought it was beautiful surah. I didn't understand it, but I thought it was beautiful. And I didn't even know you could be called Yasin. I thought that was just, I don't know, I just thought it was one of the names of the surahs of the Quran. And so when I met this guy Yasin, I was like, subhanallah, you can be called Yasin. So I sort of played around with that name a little bit, like I sort of thought about having it as my middle name. It never really caught on, like even like some of my closest friends never even called me Yasin. Like they liked calling me SYB, like Sam Yasin Burr. I'd get called SYB. I'd never be called Yasin though, it never really caught on. And you shouldn't do that, by the way. Like, any of you might be watching this video, have recently embraced Islam, or are considering taking a Muslim name. Don't, play around with names. Don't, one day tell people, MashaAllah, your name's Abdullah, and the next day you think, well, I prefer the name Abu Bakr. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, if you choose a Muslim name, choose it for the right reasons, and stick to it, of course. But that's what happened with me with the name Yasin, anyway. And when I went to Palestine, the name Burr was hard to pronounce for some people. Like when I told people my surname is Burr, that was difficult for some people to pronounce. Like this rounded sound doesn't really exist in Arabic, so I sort of Arabized my name for a little while. I started calling, instead of being Sam Burr, I became Sami Abdul Barr. Sami Abdul Barr. But that was just like an Arabization of my name to help people in Palestine pronounce my name properly. And that was never an attempt to actually make that a Muslim name for me. A really good name, not a good name, just a really funny name that one of my friends called me. I was with some of my friends in Cornwall soon after I'd embraced Islam. It was maybe a year or so after I'd embraced Islam. And one of my friends took the name Sam Burr and called me Osama Bin Laden. Which I thought was really funny. I thought that was really witty. It's the same guy, by the way. If you watch my video about the funniest experience when I first embraced Islam, it's the same guy. It's the same guy who shouted that out to me. I think we were in public somewhere, we were in a cafe or something, and he called me Osama Bin Laden. But that was pretty funny. But the real question of this YouTube video is, what's your Muslim name? You better have one. Okay, so I was sort of open-minded to taking a Muslim name, even though the community around me had never forced me to, and obviously my family gave me this name. My family gave me the name Sam Burr, so it is important to me. I never really sort of had intention to change my name, take a Muslim name, but I did consider sort of taking a Muslim name as a middle name that the Muslims around me could refer to me as, or could call me. And also, when I was in Palestine, someone had said to me, you should have a Muslim name because, you want to have a name that you will be called by in Yawm al-Qiyamah. Like on the last day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know you as having a Muslim name, like you've chosen a name, like one of the best of names, or or you've chosen to be named after one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I was reading the Quran in Ramadan, and I was reading Surat An-Nalm, and there are a couple of things that the people who have known me, like my family and my friends who have known me since I was really young, have always known me for. And one of them is for loving animals. Like, I've always just been fascinated by animals, and of all different sizes, from all over the place. Like, even from when I was really little, for Christmas I wouldn't get like kids books, I'd get like animal encyclopedias and stuff. And even today, like my wife would even tell you, like, I love watching like animal documentaries and stuff. And the other one is smiling a lot. Like, I've always been quite a happy person, alhamdulillah. Like, I smile a lot, I make an effort to, I'm never really grumpy. Like, I don't know, my default is just to be quite happy and quite cheerful. So those are like two things that the people around me have always sort of known me as. And, I came across these few ayat in the Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. He says, وحشر لسليمان جنوده من الجن والإنس والطير فهم يوزعون حتى إذا أتوا على واد النمل قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون فتبسم ضاحكا من قولها إلى آخره. That's just the beginning of another ayah. فتبسم ضاحكا من قولها. So what does that ayah mean? What does that ayah mean? I'll put a translation to it in the description below, inshallah, as well, so you can read it. But وَحُشِرَ لِسُلَيْمَانُ وَجُنُودُهُ. Basically, Sulaiman and his army were marching. مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ وَالطَّيْرِ. From the people, مِنَ الْإِنس. Well, firstly it says مِنَ الْجِنِّ, the jinns. وَالْإِنس, and people. وَالطَّيْرِ, and birds. فَهُمْ يُوزَعُونَ. And they're sort of marching, they're in like pursuit of whoever they're going to battle. حتى إذا توا على واد النمل, until they reach the valley of the ants. قالت النملة, and one ant, قالت النملة, one ant says, يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم. She calls out to the other ants, ants, go into your homes. She calls out to the ants, go into your homes. ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده. Like, وهم لا يشعرون. They go into your homes as like Sulaiman and the army, they might crush you by mistake. So that ant, the first thing that ant does is calls out to its people, or not its people, its ants, and says, go into your homes. And the next ayah is how Sulaiman responds to that, because Sulaiman can hear the animals. Sulaiman has birds in his army, so obviously the birds love him, and he loves the birds, and that he can hear the ants, he can understand the languages of the animals. So فَتَبَسَّمَ ضَاحِكًا مِنْ قَوْلِهَا. Ibtisam, فَتَبَسَّمَ means he smiled. ضاحك, the verb ضحك in Arabic means to laugh at something. فَتَبَسَّمَ ضَاحِكًا مِنْ قَوْلِهَا. So he smiled like joyfully at her words. So there are there's one ayah after another which talks about two of the things which I thought have always been the same about my personality and about my character, that I've always sort of loved animals and I've always been really cheerful and happy. So after reading that, I sort of thought for a little while, like, maybe Sulaimân is a really good name for me. And so I thought I'd start calling myself Sulaimân after I thought about it for a little while, and learnt about who Sulaimân was and the history of Sulaimân, and various other things that we know about Sulaimân as well. And because you should give yourself a name that should remind you of that person. Like, you should give yourself a name for a reason. The same way you should name your children to teach them certain qualities. You should also name yourself for the same reasons. So I thought the name Sulaimân was a good name. So and also it's caught on now. Like, my wife calls me Sulaimân, all of my wife's family call me Sulaimân, and so it's properly caught on now. Like, that's actually my Muslim name now. But as I said before, like I don't plan on changing my name. I don't plan on changing the name Samber. Just I'll include a Muslim name as well, because I think I don't know. There might be people watching this as well. Maybe you have a family member who's embraced Islam, maybe, or maybe you have children who have embraced Islam, and like I don't think that they should abandon the name that you gave them. I don't think that they should sort of change their surname or cut themselves off from you in that way. So yeah, I think it's best that you just include a Muslim name as well if you're going to. So that's it. My name's Sulaimân. You watched the whole video, gone to the end of it, you found out that my name is Sulaimân. So if you have any questions about my journey to Islam or anything, then please just leave them in the comments below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.